They're guys. They do magic. They are the Magic Guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh yeah, he's got the disco skills that kills. We are here for episode 117. I'm your local podcast host, Josh Norbito, and to my left we have Nick K, professional mind blower. What's up, Nick K?
What up, friends? Stepping in for your boy, Doug Kahn, who's out there breeding like crazy and taking over the planet.
There is another con in the world. So
Hey.
look out, everyone. Yeah, he's another
con woman. Or is it
woman.
rude to assume gender?
True. Yeah, you're right. I just always refer to his clan as like, you know, the con man, but with the two N's. Con. Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? That's enough deep thought for today.
It would be a funny idea to have a show with Con Man, like it'd be Con Mann or something like that, but you kind of hide it like Constantino Manopoulos or something like that, because it naturally has to be Greek.
Oh, so now it's everything's just gone Greek now. We have you on for a couple episodes, and now we're Greek. All right.
It's not the first time the Greeks have taken over. You probably heard about the Persian Empire and things of that nature. It's totally a thing.
Look, I see what's happening, and now it's happening on the podcast. Great.
It's really funny because every time I meet someone, I'm like, I get like a really unique name. I love people with unique names. It's like my favorite thing, right? And you meet someone and they're like, oh, my name is this. And I go, that's really unique. What is that? And they go, it's Persian. I go, cool. I'm Greek. Are we cool? Because did you see 300? I don't want to like gloat, but we kind of gave you a hard time. So are we cool? And they're like, yeah, man, we cool. And I'm like, great. Let's do magic.
Yeah. Does that happen a lot at gigs? You're like, just to let everyone know, I am Greek.
You know, I don't really use that as a divide. I think it creates a divide. I don't typically do that, you know? But it is fun when you're at a very woggy type gig. Every now and again, you do something for the Greek community or something like that, you know what I mean? And there is a joy in having like, oh, you're one of us? Ooh, you know? I remember when I was doing like bar mitzvahs and Passovers and things of that nature and performing at, you know, different Jewish type of events around, you know, like I remember saying it at one point, I had a Jewish girlfriend and I was like, oh, my girlfriend's Jewish. And like, oh, are you going to convert? You going to come? You going to be one of us?
Ooh.
You going to convert? You should convert. And I'm like, so they're recruiting at this point.
Jeez.
And so I think I kind of broke the title of honorary Jew, which I really love the idea of because I just want once in my life to be top Jew. You know, when you see them at the wedding and they're in the chair and they push her, like I
the top Jew.
deeply. So deeply. When I get married, God willing, I you'll be there naturally, but like make sure it happens. Make sure I'm top Jew for
the full shebang. Oh, we'll make sure. Speaking of which, I actually did my first bar mitzvah gig last week. I don't know why it's taken so long. Yeah, maybe there's the community is just not that strong here in Brisbane, or maybe they just don't hire magicians here. But I did the first one, and my goodness, it was awesome, and it was crazy to see kids actually being kids again, because this community, like, they don't let their kids have Instagram, they don't let them have caffeine. They're like just certain things that, you know, kids take for granted that they just do and whatever, and don't recognize the consequences or whatever. But these kids were just like being normal kids. They had a karaoke machine. I walked in, there was like 6 12-year-old boys singing Eminem's Lose Yourself, just belting it out, didn't have a care in the world. And then those same 6 guys were singing Let It Go by Frozen. Like, there was just no contrast. Having the time of their life. I'm like, yeah, I remember what it was like to be like that before you had to worry about, you know, where this video is going to end up of you singing this or whatever. It was pretty cool.
That's really refreshing, man. Did you dance the horror with them? Because that's one of the coolest things you can do at a barmy, where you dance the horror, which is effectively like a heavy metal like circle pit where you dance in a circle and everyone just gets wild. Like, it's a really good time. And
I feel like I must have got there just after that.
It's typically when I get there too, so I always try to get to those early. But it's such a pleasure to be a part of. It's a beautiful tradition, and they're beautiful people. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of beautiful people, we have a guest today.
We do have a guest, and he's going to horrify us with some artifacts of his. We've had a little sneak peek already. This guy does bizarre magic, and not only does he do bizarre magic, but he makes props via his website, Expert at the Craft Table. He's going to tell us more about it, but we haven't met him before, so we're all going to come on this journey with you guys. And I'll just say, whatever happens on this podcast is all Bob Possible's fault. So with that said, let's bring on our friend, Simon, ladies and gentlemen.
I think blame Bob Possible is the default.
Oh, is that right? In Discord, we just blame everything. Yeah. He's used to it.
It's called taking responsibility but passing along liability. So we'll take responsibility for this being entirely awesome, but Bob will be liable for anything that bad happens.
Yeah. And good morning to Doug, or good evening. Doug's in the chat today. He's a little tired from his tour he's doing, magic tour, but nonetheless, thank you for being here. And yes, Bob is here, so we can hold him fully accountable for whatever happens. Anyway, Simon, thanks for being here. We were just chatting offline. It's super early in the morning for you in Ireland.
Scotland.
Cleverly disguised as Scotland. Very nice. Yeah. So how are you this morning today?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Great.
We should also bring to the attention that Simon has been kind enough to stay up because I think it's close to 1 a.m. on your side of the planet, Simon?
Yeah, it's just gone 1 a.m. here.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sticking it out. I hope you're caffeined like we are. I mean, that's what we do in Melbourne, but...
Yeah. What time are you on there?
It's 10 a.m. here.
10 a.m.
Yeah. I think we need to get you some food. You're looking awfully skinny. I can see your bones. You're just skin and bones there. Hey, you see what I did there, guys? That's comedy. Yeah. Is it glow in the dark? Most of the good skeleton outfits are glow in the dark. Is that the case with yours, or
this one? I think it does glow in the dark. Yeah, I would have to turn off my studio light and several.
Hey, that's okay. It's probably better for the podcast. They can see you. You know. Yeah. Okay, give us an intro into your world, because I know you have a very unique style of performing. Maybe some magicians haven't really been introduced to this style before. So, what is it you do, Simon?
So I do a couple of things. I mean, I do medieval-inspired magic, which I do as a 14th century reenactor. That's stuff people would be familiar with, mostly like cups and balls, linking rings, which is attributed to someone in 15th century Spain rather than China.
So it's period correct.
Hey, you listening to that, Doug?
I also have an interest in bizarre magic, which is a bit different to what most of your viewers would be used to. It's more sort of storytelling.
Let's explore this notion of bizarre magic, because it's not really something that people sort of take to very often. They might consider something like, maybe geek magic, in which you put needles in oneself or do things of that nature. But bizarre magic, I think, has its own separate genre, and I think that an expert like yourself would explain it pretty well. So please, fire away.
Yeah, I mean, I do a bit of geek magic as well, but only really to people I know rather than as a performance piece. But bizarre magic is mostly about the storytelling rather than the magic. So you'll tell a story about something, there'll be magical happenings going on at the same time that are more emphasizing the story or making it better, rather than the magic being the focus.
Right.
That I find that really lacking in today's magic as well. I'm writing a couple of new pieces myself, and which I've been doing for a while, but I'm rewriting them to get a message across. And I think it's a really, really lost art. This notion of just blowing someone's mind and walking away is one thing, but when you can make it personal or have a story attached to it, it's quite a fun moment. I mean, storytelling can be done in many ways, whether it be through picture books, puppetry. Why not magic? I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and Doug was just emphasizing what we just...
Sorry.
No, you're right. Podcast world, we all get used to it. Don't worry. Doug's saying, so there is geek magic, and that is actually different to bizarre magic. So is it more like geek magic is more of the visual, like, this will freak you out for a second?
Yeah, that's like sticking a needle through your arm or eating pins or...
So maybe more stunt orientated things, eating glass, walking on glass, things of that nature. Would be more of the stunt orientated sort of spectrum, so to speak. And so it's a weird word, isn't it? When you have like storytelling magic framed in this bizarre, because it should actually be framed as something else, something entirely more beautiful, unless you're telling an awful story. So, what routines do you do? Like, give us an example of a routine you would do and the story you would tell.
So, a lot of the stuff that I've done more recently has been sort of theatrical seance type stuff. So you'd be performing a seance and the ghost would actually interact with you. But it's made quite clear that it's theatrical. It's not like contacting the dead grandmother of the person sitting with you. It'll be contacting some ghost who no one in the room actually knows, kind of thing.
Yeah, like that old premise of every theater has a ghost, which is why you leave the light on the stage. That old premise, and so that whole notion that like every theater has a ghost and every stage has one, etc. And there's always a story to back that up, no matter where you are. I've even found it in nightclubs that were originally theaters that have turned to nightclubs. There's one place here in Melbourne. It's called something else now, but it used to be called Billboards. And there's a story of a ghost there that I hear many stories, because I used to know the owner of that venue in a previous occupation that I had, previous life. And he was telling me that there was a woman who had passed away through reasons that are graphic and not probably fit for podcasting, but she would constantly flick bottle caps at you as you walk through the venue. Like when everyone had gone home and you're cleaning the venue, or you're counting the cash and doing the till, and they would be flicking like bottle caps that would be left over from like beer bottles, would just be like flying at you all the time. Like she would do that, which is like such a parody to the Patrick Swayze movie classic from the 90s, Ghost, because he does that.
Yeah. Wow, that's creepy. There was 100% a ghost in, where were we? Coffs Harbour in Australia. And that theatre, like there's a light that would just go off when it wanted to. It's the same theatre that Chris Wayne got flash paper right in his eyeball, trying to burn his retina before the show. Like just a couple of things just happened that was just too weird for us to not.
Fascinating.
And because the staff were telling us about the ghost that lives in the theatre, and then these things start happening, we're like, yep, that's a thing.
We've got a few comments here that might be worth highlighting, actually. We've got Andrew has mentioned that Bizarre and Geek walk the same path side by side, which is true. And Tim has asked whether the stories are from my imagination or whether they have folklore. Bit of column A, bit of column B. If I hear a folklore story that I like the sound of, I might incorporate that into a magic act. Sometimes I just make stuff up.
I agree with that, Simon.
Sure
I totally agree with that. I never let the truth get in the way of a good story, especially when I'm telling a magic story. Yeah, very important lesson in magic.
Okay, tell us about this doll that's behind you. I saw you kind of tease it a little bit in one of your posts yesterday.
Yeah, so
what is going on? You see a grown man with this freaky doll in the background. We got to get some context here.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're into the weird stuff like I am, you tend to get given weird things by your friends. It's not actually on camera. There we go.
Oh boy.
This lovely doll here.
Check out this doll, everyone.
See if we can get it.
Simon, is that a redhead?
It's kind of a reddish brown.
Yeah, redheads are trouble. Pro tip.
Yeah, this was given to me by a friend who purchased it at an auction. I'm just going to put it down for a second because it came with some documentation, which I'll read out to you because it's kind of interesting. So there's come from the auction house. This is provenance document for the Emily doll. This document serves as a record of ownership and history for the Emily doll, also known as the Weston doll. The doll has been passed down through several generations of the Weston family and has remained in their possession for over a century. The following is a summary of the doll's provenance. Emily Weston. The doll originally belonged to Emily Weston, who tragically lost her life in a freak accident in 1880. Emily was buried with the doll, but it was later exhumed and given to her parents as a memento of their daughter. Robert Weston, Emily's father. Robert inherited the doll after Emily's passing and kept it in his possession until his death. Elizabeth Weston, Robert's daughter and Emily's younger sister. Elizabeth inherited the doll from her father and kept it in her possession until her own passing. Thomas Weston, who was Elizabeth's son and Emily's nephew, and Thomas inherited the doll and kept it in his possession for several decades. Anna Weston, Thomas's daughter, she inherited the doll from her father and kept it for many years. And then it was at an estate auction where it was sold in 2023 to my friend. I'm not going to name him, but it's got his name written on here, who now holds possession of the doll. The Emily doll has remained in the Weston family's possession for generations and has passed down as a cherished heirloom. Its history is a poignant reminder of the enduring power of objects to hold memories and emotions, and it remains a treasured piece of the Weston family's legacy. But the thing that's quite interesting is it's got another page which it's actually got a copy of a news. Well, I'm trying to do this without my camera being mirrored. It's got a copy of a newspaper clipping here, but I'll give you a brief overview of this. So the doll, known by its formal name as the Emily doll, has a long and storied history that spans several generations, which can be traced back to the late 19th century when it belonged to a young girl named Emily who tragically lost her life in a freak accident. Emily was holding the doll when she fell into a deep hole and was buried alive under dirt, and the doll became a cherished memento of her life. After Emily's passing, the doll was kept by her grieving parents as a way to hold on to a piece of their daughter. As time passed, the doll was passed down through the family, becoming a treasured heirloom and a symbol of Emily's short but meaningful life. Though the doll became increasingly worn and tattered over the years, it remained a precious reminder of the family's history. There are also allegations in here of strange occurrences happening with the doll, which I'm not too sure how much credence to give them, but family members reported hearing faint whispers and seeing the doll's eyes move, leading some to believe the doll was cursed or possessed by Emily's restless spirit.
And that's the best present to be given by your friend.
Well, I was just thinking that this is a truly loved heirloom passed down from generation, to which your friend purchased and gifted to you before it killed his family. And that's really nice of him.
Yeah. Well, and Tim's asking, the chain was broken, so what now? What happens?
Well, I mean, I'm a magician. I don't believe in supernatural things, so I'm quite comfortable with a haunted doll being in my possession. So we'll just have to see what happens. But
so you don't believe there's ghosts in each theatre on the stage?
I mean, I don't know whether there is a ghost in each theatre. I'm yet to see evidence of the ghost in each theatre.
Mm-hmm.
Once I get bottle caps flicked at me, then perhaps we'll talk.
Yeah, if you dress like a skeleton, they're gonna keep their distance. They're probably like, he's one of us.
Yeah, it's just a cool doll.
Hey, we've also got our friend from Juice Gala Magic in the chat. What's up, bro? He says 4 successful Kickstarters. Incredible. Now, I happen to know of one of your Kickstarters because I own your Cloisters deck.
Yeah.
But tell everyone, because people might not realize, this guy has a creepy doll that has this, haunted ability, but he still has time to run Kickstarters. So what got you into Kickstarters and creating stuff for magicians? Or what is it that you do create for the magic world, the Magi's?
I'll just put the doll back on the shelf. So I started my business in 2020. So I was working in retail in the pandemic, which isn't a great place to be. Got signed off work sick for several months, and shit, I need some money. Sorry if I.
You can shit away. Don't worry.
There's a safe space.
Okay, so so I've been being a level worker making medieval stuff. I decided I was going to make myself some new magic stuff. And I was doing coin magic at the time, just trying to get good at it, which I still haven't because I suck at coin magic. But I got some nice shiny silver coins and thought I need something to put these in. So I made myself a little coin pouch, posted it on some magic discords, and everyone goes, "Oh, I want one of those." Well, okay, cool. I'll put them on Kickstarter. And it kind of snowballed a bit from there.
That's a really, really cool thing to do, because I think a lot of people have ideas out there that they would love to put to market, but there is obviously a big backing to get things off the ground and make them affordable. Could you actually explain what the process is going through like a Kickstarter campaign and the best way to go about it? Because you've had 4 successful of them, so as far as I know, that's an amazing achievement. I
mean, in terms of like most magicians that I know that have done Kickstarters have tried to do playing card Kickstarters. And the reason that they often fail is they're printing with USPCC, which has like $4,000 or $5,000 for a minimum order. For your first Kickstarter, you're not going to raise that much realistically. You'll get some people who do, but for most people, that's too high to aim for. So for your first Kickstarter do it for something with a lower goal. I can't remember my exact goal for the coin pouches, like something like £500. But once you've delivered stuff and people can see that everyone got your product and they were happy with it, people are more willing to part with their money to get something. There's a lot of horror stories on Kickstarter where people back things and there's delays or they never get the goods. Or
I've tried many. I've purchased things and it's been 2 years later that the thing actually arrives, but it's not what it's promised for sure.
Yeah, it's a shame, but that's just the way that Kickstarter is. So if you can deliver the goods before schedule, and the goods are good, then people come back.
Yeah. Do you have any of those coin purses handy by chance? The leather.
I think I had one around that I actually have dice in. If I can find it.
Ooh.
I'm not too sure whereabouts it went. It fell on the floor earlier. Yeah, it's got a bit worn and aged, so they look a bit
that's
nice.
That's what we like with leather,
Yeah, it's got character.
Patina.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're made from vegetable tanned leather, so they get darker as they age. You can store dice in them as well as coins. You can store all sorts of stuff in them. But this is a dollar-sized one for holding.
Very cool.
Do you share routines that could be used with that particular purse? Like if you were to empty things out and then is there anything of that nature that when purchasing your products, is there routines that come along with it, for example?
I mean, it's not gimmicked. It's just designed to be a nice little case to keep your coins in. So you could hypothetically show it empty and palm something into it and it's got stuff in, but I just kind of assume that my customers know what they're doing. I don't want to teach them and then they can probably come up with themselves.
I've always wondered, the Cloisters deck that I purchased from your Kickstarter. Very unique, and I don't even know how to explain it. But instead of a normal playing cards with the different suits and the values, these were were they medieval symbols on each one? Is that how you designed?
Yeah. So the Cloisters deck, it's that was a recreation of an actual 15th century deck.
Right. So it's kind of like what cards were used as before they developed the system.
Yeah, so the system of suits that we've got now developed in about 1500, I think. So beginning of the 16th century. So at that point, you had 3 different sets. You had the German ones, which is what's on my current Kickstarter. Those are bells, acorns, leaves, and hearts. You had the Latin ones, which are basically the same as tarot. And you had the French symbols, which is clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. And then the French ones came over to England, and then from England to America, and that's how they're the popular ones now. But the Cloisters deck was based on hunting, so that one's got leashes for dogs, nooses for holding game birds that you've killed.
Right.
The other 2 are offhand, but
yeah. Do you happen to have one handy at all? I realize I should have asked you this beforehand, but
I can go and grab one. It'll take me literally about a minute.
Yeah, that's okay. I reckon let's do it. I think the audience will love it. I'll take you off for a sec. I'll keep an eye out for when he comes back. But that's pretty wild. I mean, I've always wondered what it would be like if I could work with leather, what I would try and make, Have you ever thought about that?
Just in this conversation. Yeah, just in this conversation, I was thinking to myself, if you could just embed flat magnets inside of your particular wallet or whatever sort of thing that you have, you could effectively achieve a type of effect where if you had a magnetic coin or a shell or something of that nature, you could ditch things, hide things, or it's magnets to me are just so magical to begin with, and just the fact that you can embed them in between layers of leather, there is something to be had there.
Oh yeah, totally. What's John? The deck sounds cool. Yeah, it does sound cool. And then Magic with Foe, Josh, what's your favorite trick? Maybe I'll try and answer that quickly before Simon comes back. Favorite trick? That's like asking. I don't know. That's like asking the age-old question of how long's a piece of string. It's definitely, for me, it's situational. But if I'm show me something that you enjoy right now, because it's something I'm working on, it's, I give the audience 2 jokers. I say, name any card. They name it. They pluck the jokers into the deck anywhere. They hold the deck. And then once they spread the deck, that card they named is now in between the jokers. It's as fair as it sounds as I'm describing. So that's for me, that's I'm trying to create that to be I'm doing nothing. So for you, Magic with Foe, that's currently my favorite. But what about you, Nick?
I was going to say, I have this affinity with sandwich effects as well, which is just funky. I don't know what it is about them, just nothing in between them. And I think it's because I love performing magic in people's hands, and the fact that it appears like a coin appearing between someone's hands is a fun moment. So appearing between 2 cards is equally as cool, and I really get a kick out of stuff like that. Yeah.
And there's so many different ways to approach it too, in the hands, on the table, obviously visual versions. You can have a lot of fun with it.
I fall in love with premises. I've come up with a new premise in Magic, which we will probably talk about off air. And maybe we'll air that in the next episode or something like that. But it's a really funky idea. And everyone I've shared it with has just gone, I hate how your brain works, and comes up with stuff. And I go, you're welcome. So how are we going with Simon? Is he returned?
He's almost back. I can see
him ruffling around.
Yeah, I can see him ruffling around. Simon, we're going to bring you back on, my friend. Oh, geez, put that away. No, just kidding. All right. Here we go. All right, let's see what show and tell we have. Welcome back to the show.
Hey. These are the
So I mean, just a question while you're getting those out, my friend. Is this particular deck now that you're showing us something that's part of your store that you can actually be pushing now as a product? Like, is it still available, or is it just a Kickstarter and it's gone and there's no more of these to get purchased anymore?
Oh yeah, you can get these on my store.
Great.
Ah,
So,
right.
folks,
Okay, great. Which the links
folks,
are in the description of this video, by the way.
great. So
All
if
right,
you dig the deck, my friends, support our boy Simon. Go ahead, Simon. Show us what you got.
Yeah, so we've got dog collars. That's what a 15th century dog collar looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, hunting horns.
Yeah, so this is actually the face of the deck. This is the face where like the
The back is just the backs on the originals would have just been plain, but I wanted to put something on the backs so that well, mostly so that when you use a double backer, it's not like you're just using a blank card, because I've put double backers in the deck.
Hey.
And are you basing this design off a pre? Yes, beautiful. Now, I'm just curious: are you basing this design off a previous design you came across in your history studies of like where the decks came from? Is this like a rebirth or a redesign of something from the 1500s, or is this purely original idea with all the inspiration you got from that history?
These are a deck that you can see in the Met Museum in America. Not sure where the Met is, New York or something.
Mm-hmm.
The original cards are a completely different size and shape, though. So I've reformatted them to be on poker cards because I'm a magician. I want to use poker cards.
Yep. And for the listeners out there, what you probably didn't see was the back of the cards is effectively like it looks almost like a NASCAR track that goes. There's two lines that go right around the outside of them, not in a very sharp way, but more in a nice oval shape way. Was there a reason they were designed like that back then, Simon?
Well, mostly the front of the cards has it as well.
Oh, nice, nice.
You can have the image vanish from a card, or
Simon was saying they used to be blank on the other side, so this was like his way of adding just something textural to it without it being blank, right?
This deck actually also comes with a set for 3-card Monty as well for doing a gimmick. So, I mean, we're all magicians here, right? I'm not going to be giving anything away showing a gimmick 3-card Monty deck.
We're all good here, I think. Yeah.
2 queens are blank, and on the other side you got queen. And
fun.
Yeah, I also think it's highly probable that this hustle was around back then, right?
It probably would have been an early hustle with cards, because there's so the cups and balls has been a thing since at least Roman times, and people would have hustled with it then. So presumably done like the free shell game style thing, as well as just doing the traditional cups and balls and going around having people go around cutting people's wallets off.
Yeah.
Hang from your belt.
John Prentice here made an interesting comment where like it would make a super interesting idea for story deck. Like that's a really, really fun idea to tell a story with that, because I guess everything's sort of pertinent to the time. It's very period correct, so things with collars, knives, whatever it might be. So what are the suits in this era?
So the suits, I'm not sure if they'll show on.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is
on the side. So we've got collars. Sorry, I'm trying to get this in focus.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, good. So that's a collar.
A hunting horn. Got a leash there.
A leash.
Dogs. And this is a set of nooses for holding a brace of game birds. So
it would certainly lead to a very period correct storytelling type experience, like if you were to make one into a story deck.
I think you could tell an interesting story about the medieval hunt with them, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be, instead of Sam the Bellhop, it would be Sam the Conqueror, or Sam the Cobbler.
Sam the Squire.
Going down, Sam the Squire. Sam the Squire going down to 652 Castlemaine Road. I don't know.
Yeah, this was the first deck that I put on Kickstarter, the Expert ESP deck.
Right.
This was,
okay.
Oh, right.
This was supposed to be 5 cards that I give away free with a wallet.
Okay.
And I posted the back design of the cards in a couple of places. I'm just going to have to open this up because I don't actually have one open at the moment.
Ooh,
Just by
brand new
cracking it
deck
open.
opening.
For the listeners, we'll do our best to explain what you're seeing here, because obviously Magic is a very visual medium, but we are so well spoken here in Oz and in Scotland, and not so much
Doug
Brisbane,
Conn,
but
yes, Doug Conn is pointing out that obviously sponge bunnies were around back in the 15th century as well.
the only time I ever saw sponges in medieval times, they were attached to a stick, and it lived in a bucket, and you used it to wash your butthole when you were done pooping in a public realm. Yeah.
If any
But,
of
imagine
the people actually watching want to play Spot the Difference and see if you can spot the mark on these, I'll hold them up for a little while.
Maybe hold them back
cannot.
just a tiny bit so it'll focus.
Yeah.
There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's not gonna. The answer's not gonna come from me. That's for sure.
No.
So
Is it the best way from? Yeah.
I pretty much posted these, same as with the coin pouch, posted on a bunch of Discord groups. I'm on, hey, look, I've made this thing.
I actually love that it's black. It's a black back design with beautiful white sort of drawings for the listeners out there. It's almost reminiscent of Smoke, and I really dig that. I think it's a really good looking back.
It comes with a purple version as well, which is not going to focus, is it? There we go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We've got the
Now I
black
kind of
and
like
the
this.
purple.
Yeah, so it's like a border with a drawing in the middle, and it looks very reminiscent of the way Smoke would sort of leave a candle or an incense, and you just watch it, sort of mesmerizing in that sense. I think that's a very pretty deck, and the court cards and so forth. Can you show those with the aces?
Well, the cards are ESP.
Oh, they're all
SP
ESP.
cards.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Because you were saying originally
You did mention that.
it'd be 5 cards you give out with a wallet, right?
Yeah, so I mean, when I designed the wallet, I basically went along the thought process of what's currently in my pocket. Can I make all of that into a wallet? So in my pocket was a set of 5 ESP cards, which weren't my own ones. I'm not going to name which ESP set they are, but they were terrible and see-through, and you could like hold it up to the light and you'd see the design, like the symbol through the other side of it. It would be really super obvious.
Like what you'd buy from like wish.com or something.
You say that, but it's actually a really well-known ESP set that you get from like Murphy's and stuff.
Right. Okay. Great.
So I'm not
it's
going
very
to name it because I don't want to badmouth.
That's right.
specific
We're
people,
not here to slander people. Not at all. That's very diplomatic of you.
But
I mean-
I wanted better ones anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, I'll design my own.
So you could purchase a whole deck of these. Is that correct?
You can, yeah. The full deck it's basically 2 sets of ESP cards, as purple and black. So an ESP deck's normally 25 cards.
That's great. For the
and this deck is-
mentalists out there, I think this would be a gorgeous deck for any sort of mentalist out there who is in need of things of this effect. If they're doing it in a roving setting, especially, because it would just be so great to be able to achieve an ESP type thing. Because then a lot of times when you see it, it's this like plasticky, gimmicky type of thing. But the fact that you can tie ESP effects to something that is a little more common and a little more understood. But when people see a deck of cards, they're not sort of blown away that it's a deck of cards. They might be weirded out that it's got different faces, but you just explained these are for mind reading. You know, it's a mind reading deck. You look at a one, I'll read your mind. That's a great idea.
I've tried to make the deck as like generic testing deck as possible as well. It's not like
Like an air cushion, 3
literally
ply sort
just
of number there.
ESP testing cards, not a toy.
Yeah.
It should also
There's
say
nothing
legit
to
on there
indicate
as well.
these are-
Yeah.
nothing
Under the
to
tab, it
indicate
should
they're
say.
magical.
Under the tab, it should say not gimmicked. You know, it should say real. You know.
Yeah, 100% real.
Yeah.
If you decide you have psychic powers after using these, I'm not responsible.
Yeah.
That's a fun idea.
So
yeah, the psychic powers thing is quite interesting. I'm experimenting with a lot of ideas at the moment in which you can give the power to your spectators or to your to the people you're bringing up on stage, for example. So I've got a lot of things I'm exploring in that realm, and I think that it's a really fun thing to do. Where if you had a premise where it's like, if you use it and you get the psychic powers and you start seeing dead people, that's on you. Like, I told you, like, not to mess with it. And then you went and messed with it. And now you have to go to sleep with dead people in your bedroom. And dolls.
Yeah, of course. And that's just a Sunday, folks. Bazinga. So what else keeps you busy, Simon? What other magic or bizarre props you've acquired or things happen over in Scotland? Sorry. I mixed up the wrong country last time. Yeah, what other things do you like working on? Simon frozen. Is he frozen or has the doll possessed his body?
PC crash BRB. That's right. Okay.
Gotcha.
So
I for sure thought that doll had just possessed his body for a second. I was like,
maybe that's what happened. Maybe the doll like pulled the Cat 5 cable and strangling him with it right now. I hope he's okay. And if and then the weird thing is part of us is like, if that actually happens, we'll get so many views on this podcast.
Wow, yeah, like we have evidence of like a possessed attack.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'd
Bob,
be great for content. That would be great for content.
With response to your message, Bob, yes, count me in. I have a thing. Let's set up a friendship and some contact. I'd love to have a chat to you about a stupid idea I have. Hilarious, but stupid. So yes, that is great. And that's the beauty of having podcasts like this, you know, and you share these ideas and these thoughts and you have people like yourself committing and showing these really cool ideas. It's really great. In fact, we should have a chat about the actual Discord, because I understand that you've set this up. Now, I don't get Discords, maybe because I'm old, but like I'm part of another Discord, which is Dave Williamson's Slight School, and I can't get on it. And I've had this whole back and forth, and I've had their IT guy be like, I go, look, I'm paying for it. I've been paying for it since it opened. I've never been on it. I can't get on it. I've tried to join it. I signed up and did all the business, and they're like, we'll send you an invite. I'm like, I'm not getting the invite, my dude. Like, it just didn't work. But every time I hear folks like Doug and yourself who are like, oh, I made this friend on a Discord, and I hear it, and I'm sitting there going like, there's this whole world, this whole universe that people are connecting and networking, and I'm missing out on it. And I feel really regretful about that, because, you know, that's
kind of how I feel about Twitter. Like, I just don't understand Twitter, like how you orchestrate people you're following, and but Discord, Discord's like a younger generational thing. Like, I even don't really understand it, but I know we have one apparently for the Magic guys that Jason set up, and I have access to it, and so like I'll see messages pop up. But like, I think the whole Discord thing that people like is it's not like Facebook where it makes you set the name to who you are in real life. So people can set their own username, like back in the day when you just have a cool, you know, Nightwalker 52 or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have this
we should explore that in a second. So, you and Nightwalker? Yeah. Like that sounds
No, that's just what came out of my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in saying that, Doug's all over Discord, and
yeah, well, the chat
he's like 3 times our age, so
well, that's what everyone in the chat is saying. Doug's is the best. Doug this and that. So maybe Doug, you could kindly invite me to this and educate me on like what we're missing out, and coerce more people, more listeners. Everyone is scoping this out to then join your Discord and actually be a part of like what is a really, really cool community. I think it's super important. So so this idea of making fake names, and apparently you can do video jams on there as well. So that's where it's crazy. We got to look into this more, Nick. I mean, like, for all we know, all our future clients are there somehow. But even the resources, like I find it's so funny. People are in such a rush to like get more clients, and that's like the last thing on my mind. I'm all about building resources and people that I can lean on, like having brains that are smarter than mine. And I have this idea that I want to make, and they go, "You're an idiot. I'm an engineer, do it this way. And I go, I love you for teaching me this. And this has happened to me so many times. One of my bestest buds from high school, his name is Peter, and we call him Tucky. And Tucky got Apprentice of the Year 2 years in a row and was like awarded stuff from the Prime Minister and started his own engineering business. And now he's like a multi who's actually killing the game. And I share ideas with him all the time, and I'll give him a call. And like during the conversation, he'll be like, I just sent you a screen grab of my CAD drawing. Is this what you're talking about? And I'm like, you are amazing. Like, I've sent stuff to him like, here's how I want to jam. Oh, like, yeah, you go, slide school. But yeah, like, here's an idea I have, la la la. And then sure enough, I ruined that all. Okay, so it looks like we have.
So he's back in.
Simon
Let's see.
With a new browser.
Let's make sure that he.
Friends.
Let's make sure he is still alive. And welcome back again, Simon. Are you okay? Simon, as the doll possessed you,
Simon.
just blink twice if you need our help.
I can't actually hear you guys now. Not sure what's going on here.
Okay. Just while they're sorting out his audio, we'll tell you what we're seeing. Simon has returned back to the podcast. However, he has a black eye. He has a black eye and a couple of scratches. The doll is missing, and we're a little concerned about. Simon, are you okay?
I'm okay.
Simon,
you can hear us. Thank goodness.
Simon, if you're in danger, blink twice. We'll send help.
No, it's fine. There's definitely nothing haunted about that doll.
Okay, because what happened was we were talking to you, and then all of a sudden you stopped moving, and the doll is just staring at us, and we're like, he's become possessed, and it's all our fault. But but you're back.
Did you see that? A thing fell.
I heard it
behind you. Make sure there's no sharp objects around the doll before you go to bed. I'm just saying. Yeah, that's what... For the listeners out there, a pair of scissors just dropped next to the doll. Okay, moving on. Simon, before we lost you there, we were wondering what other things you sort of work upon. What I'm sort of curious about is you do perform, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, now I would love to know, like, what that looks like. Because right now you're dressed in skeleton sort of regalia, and I imagine that you perform in this medieval type. So I'm a big fan of costuming. My tailor is my best friend. I'm constantly having my suit worked upon, repaired, etc. And so, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, you're putting the regalia on. That looks awesome.
Authentic.
Oh, I love that. Is that really warm? I imagine is that really warm? So what you're wearing, I'm curious, is this sort of like a traditional, and I don't want to sound rude when I say this, but like, is it like a jester type character that you perform in, Simon?
No, it's just general everyday wear.
Oh, so you're an average Joe that does magic. That's your character, correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I love that. Is that something you made or had tailored?
Yeah, I made
it.
I mean, this is my 16th century gear. My 14th century is in the car, but it basically looks like a dress.
Yep, and that's why you keep it in the car. That makes total sense. Yeah, great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And Saint is asking, tell us about your codpiece. Is that something that you understand that I don't?
Codpiece is there to cover the flap in your pants to,
Oh, great.
move the codpiece.
Oh, so do you
out and have a piss?
Do you get to wear a kilt when you do magic?
No, kilts are a 19th century thing mostly.
Oh,
so
everyone...
I'm not Scottish.
Wait a second.
I'm Scottish insofar as I live in Scotland and this is my home, but...
okay, I was thinking that the character was indigenous. So, I was thinking the character was indigenous. So am I to understand people in Scotland wore pants and then went nuts to this? It's the 19th century. Time to change. Y'all put on dresses.
It's mostly... I'm going to get this horribly wrong because recent history of Scotland is not my
I will remind
subject,
you.
But...
I will remind you as you say this, never let the truth get in the way of a good story, Simon. Go for it, buddy.
But I could get lynched for this by some of my friends. Yeah, so like it's rich largely English people made the whole like Scottish tartans linked to families and all that sort of stuff.
So the kilt's a sign of wealth?
The kilt's just like clothes. I mean, I've worn a kilt for going to a wedding, and they're really comfortable.
It would be.
And warm.
Right. I mean,
They're
the
warm?
only thing I know about it, because my grandma had some Scottish history in her, was that they would have the tartan would be a particular pattern for the family, or they'd have like a family crest or something, and it would be passed down through the females, not actually the males in the
Is that
family
like
tree
the-
line.
That's like
That
Judaism.
would carry the
where-
yeah.
Yeah, like it's like, you know, if you marry a Jewish woman, like you're then having Jewish kids. That's the deal. Like that's what you sign up for. So that's kind of nice. And I think
my
it makes sense
understanding of
because
that is it goes back to before we had genetic testing. So if the woman is Jewish and the kids are Jewish, you know the kids are Jewish because you know who the mother is. The father could be anyone, hypothetically.
Jon Snow.
Yeah, but the mother is known. You can't pretend to be somebody's mother.
Yeah.
So that's why the kids are inheriting things down the female line.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
thinking
right,
that
because
also
you
makes a lot of
know,
sense because
yeah.
Yeah,
it makes a lot more
I
sense.
mean, I
And-
could go and have kids with a Jewish woman who's married to a Jewish man. The kids would be Jewish because of their mother. They wouldn't be Jewish because of me because I'm not Jewish.
Yeah.
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 And it
You
makes sense
can't.
because I guess
Yeah.
men were going to war. They were dying. They were having limbs cut off and whatever else, you know? So, or getting kicked in the dick by a horse, and that's how you died, which does happen. That's why you wear a codpiece. Is that correct?
No, codpiece is literally just like a part of your pants that covers the gap where you get it out to have a pee.
The gooch?
Yeah, it's like a fly zip before they had zips.
Okay.
Oh, did you not make? Oh,
I'm
so
learning
you don't make them
something.
out of metal, so you can.
No, it's a flap of fabric.
It's not a chastity belt, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, no, it's like a flap of fabric that. So,
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll
this what
try
we're
and
describing.
demonstrate with trousers, right?
He's going to show us, everyone. This is going to be great.
This is his next
show you,
Kickstarter,
like,
ladies and gentlemen.
So I don't actually
Okay.
have copies, but you'd have like a gap here. See where the fly zip is, right? That would just be
Yes.
an open gap. You
Yeah.
have a flap that comes up and covers it.
Yeah.
And then when you want to go for a piss, you pull down your codpiece, whip it out. There you go. That's what a codpiece is. It's
Wow.
like
And
it's just a
where?
functional.
For all the listeners of this podcast, you have to watch the YouTube video.
Alex,
It's the
Alex-
best.
Whip it out on the YouTube video.
Can I just say, I think Alex wins the comment of today. Card to Codpiece, next bestseller. That is. That's fire. That's now we're really thinking here. Now the juices are flowing.
This is a great idea.
Yeah. So since you're up there with that, giving us that view, where
Card
do
stab. Card
Card
Think
stab.
about it, man. Think about it. Undo
Cod
the cod
stab?
piece, spring the cards. You give it a good thrust and straight through the card. That's a great idea.
Whoa.
Like you can't.
I love how your
Thank you.
camera just shook as you thrust it. Does that happen often?
That's what happens when you thrust. I come with the thunder. Clap lightning.
Like, yeah.
Moving on.
For anyone who's just listening to the audio, it's really graphic right now. You should definitely check it out on YouTube.
Yeah. Sheesh. I mean, where do we go from here after Codpiece? I mean, it's all. Where do babies come from? I guess that's the next step.
No, what I'm curious about is with the costuming. For someone like me and anyone who's come to see my lecture, I have a lecture called the Iron Man lecture, and it's about when you put on a suit that you become more than just a magician. You become Iron Man, for example. So when I put the suit on, I become Nick Kay. That guy's an animal, and away he goes. Anyone who's seen like my toppets and things that I've customized into my suit, you sort of appreciate as far as costuming goes. I look at what you're wearing, and I'm curious, like. What's your carry? Do you carry in like a duffel bag type traditional thing? Do you have pockets? Can you put things up your sleeve or drop
When I'm
them?
being medieval or just day to day?
Oh, medieval. Definitely.
medieval. Like
it's the dress that he wears day to day that's in his car, Nick. Don't be silly.
See, I don't know where I've put my stuff. I've got a little pouch thing that's got my cups and balls in it.
Oh, okay. So you perform that. Are you doing everything stage, or are you doing roving pieces as well? Is the next question.
Standing behind a table.
Oh, so like a parlor setting type setup.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys really get reenactment shows. I know you got Call to Arms.
No,
there,
not at all.
More of a.
No, we don't really get
no,
Ren fairs or anything like that here in Oz.
we're
that
also
much. There's like a couple maybe somewhere, but
no.
Yeah,
And Simon,
so,
we're also idiots. So the more you explain, the more we learn. This is fantastic. So explain to us exactly what a Renaissance type magic show would look like.
okay, so as a medieval reenactor, I go to events at largely castles around Scotland, and there's
Of which there's many.
several reenactment groups that will go to them. And they're all people like me who dress up in medieval clothing and pretend to be medieval people. And then the public can come round and go and look at us. Kind of like a zoo.
Okay.
So we're all behind like ropes that like,
Now the
stop
character that you have, what's the name of your character? Is it straight up Simon, or is it
Oh, it's just
share
me.
it without?
It's literally just me.
Oh, okay, so there's not like a character that you embody and you adopt the speech that would be more pertinent to the period.
No,
time?
so that's more of an American thing for Renaissance fairs. They tend to try and speak like medieval people, but they sound nothing like medieval people. Sorry to any Ren Fair magicians watching. But yeah,
that's an important lesson. That's a really important lesson. So I don't imagine people still walked about in the 1500s going lol and FOMO, but is there anything that, like, with regards to speech, that you sort of try to adopt when you're presenting things? Do you throw up any like hear ye and ring a bell and I don't know, do you get to punch children? Because you could do that in the 1500s. That's kind of cool.
We do have a thing called Kids Army where we fight children with foam swords.
That's fantastic.
The children obviously beat the crap out of us.
It's like that joke.
It's very one-sided.
It's like that that funny joke that people ask when they're having a drink. It's like, oh, would you rather fight a giant Nick K or 100 like 1 foot tall Josh Nabitos? You know what I mean? And I think that like what you'll learn from this is that a bunch of kids are going to crush you if you fight them with foam swords.
So yeah, we hand them all foam swords, and they'll surround us and beat the hell out of us.
And how into it do you get? Yeah,
Sorry?
do you get like full Spartan type and like kick down a kid or poke, or do you let them have their fun?
No, just let them have their fun. It's just entertainment for the kids. Because as well as the magic, I also do combat as well. Like I fight people with swords.
Well, now that makes sense. This whole episode makes sense now.
Yeah,
that you're into combat.
We've pulled it all together, and Bob made a comment saying that it's only a $500 fine to punch a child in Arkansas, and we don't condone violence on this podcast. Let us be very clear about that. We do not condone it, but we do understand it. Thanks to our good friend Simon. Thank you, Simon, for helping us.
Because Bob, that's how Bob used to make his pocket money as a kid. Is he would find adults that will punch him, and then he would go halves with the officer in the fine that would be paid.
So
these are all things we learn about Bob growing
for
up.
A price.
Well, the swindling would make a lot of sense there in the Renaissance Fair. So, so other than yourself entertaining at the actual like Renaissance Fair, what other things would they see? Would they experience the food being done at that time? Would there be any sort of like traditional dances or traditions that were sort of practiced in that era?
It very much depends on who is at the show. So the group I'm with is primarily a combat group. So they'll have a little arena and they'll do displays of medieval combat.
Jousting, things of that nature.
Jousting, that's actually another group I'm with. My brother-in-law is a jouster. So I help him out with stuff.
You know what's amazing? Like, whenever I perform, I like to just break the fourth wall and go, that's what I do for a living. What do you guys do? And I just chill for a minute. And everyone will say, well, nothing as cool as what you do. And that's the most common answer I get back. But if I ever said that and someone said to me, that's what I do, what do you guys do? And a bloke turned to me and said, jouster, I would probably bow to him.
Oh, he's a jouster, and then in his spare time, he's in the army. So.
I would do that. I'd be like a real life warrior, and then I would yell at the bartender and be like, fetch us mead. We need mead. And then we drink mead. That's a great idea.
Yeah, so
that's funny, man. That's very funny. So
what about food?
What about really?
And what about food? Is there any like old school food there? I mean, I don't know how well.
I mean,
Scotland
I cook my own food there. The public can just eat from burger vans. They don't get to eat the horrible medieval food that we have to eat.
Uber Eats, yeah.
The traditional 1500s burgers. I think they were called something different back then.
Yeah, no, medieval food's pretty good actually. You get some really nice recipes like mac and cheese. That's
okay.
That's in a 14th century cookbook.
Yeah. So I think once everyone gets hungry, at the Ren Fair, all bets are off. That's what it is. Okay. So before we go,
mac and cheese, 14th century.
I'm staggered.
Jeez,
absolutely
man.
staggered.
I'll link you in your Discord.
Brilliant.
Please do. Okay.
Speaking of linking stuff, Simon, before we go, you brought up something that you wanted to mention to the viewers, and you have like somewhat of a giveaway for one of your Kickstarters. Do you want to just explain that?
Oh, so the giveaway is separate from the Kickstarter. So
great.
So the Magic Reddit are Magic. It's impossible to get a post to stick on there. It's like the moderators delete everything. So whoever a week from today can send me a screenshot. You can find my contact details below or on my website. Whoever can get a post linking this deck on my website, the Expert ESP deck, and saying something nice about it. Anyone who's been watching the YouTube videos seen the back designs and stuff. Drop a link to it, post it on the R Magic subreddit. If it stays up for 24 hours, whoever's got the most upvotes with 24 hours of it staying up by this time next week, I will send them postage paid one of these decks. Brilliant. It's a challenge.
And if you don't do it,
like most people will find that their post gets deleted after about 2 minutes.
Yeah. But most importantly,
so that's the challenge.
That's the challenge.
For any Reddit, for anyone who's listening, for any Reddit, what are they called? Any Reddit moderators that take it down, the doll is going to haunt your dreams.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of The Magic Guys.